Hi guys. So we were just talking about quantum physics and this is just impromptu. I wanted to share these ideas that were popping into my mind. Um, as we're moving more and more into a fifth dimensional reality, the laws of physics and the way we perceive our reality is completely shifting. And we're all going to become experts when we're in the fifth dimension on quantum technology, on quantum physics, on string theory, superstring theory. All of these may sound like very hi-fi scientific terminologies that are only reserved for the scientist elite, but um, these are ideologies and belief systems that are really built into us because when you really realize who you are at a core fundamental level, you're a walking, talking quantum computer. You're a soul technology. You're a God particle. You're an infinite being having a finite experience. You're at your core, you're infinite, and you're having this experience in a limited three-dimensional reality. But when you tap into the infinite aspect of yourself, the eternal aspect of yourself, the God particle, the God being that you are, that's when things get really interesting because then you can bend space and time, you can bend reality, and you can literally travel back in time through your technology of your third eye, through past life regression, through you can really go back into reality in your past and you can change the way you perceived your past so that you can experience the present moment in a different way. And I'll give you an example of that. Changing your past is something that many shamans do on a very regular basis in past life regression. So in my own experience, there was a healing session that was done that I had done on me for past life regression where I was tapping into a wound that I carry of feeling abandoned by my mother. And that abandonment wound is very strong. And it didn't make any sense to me because I had such a loving childhood in my current incarnation that I couldn't connect the dots. So my therapist or my healer guided me into going back into a past life that was related to this particular wound that I was carrying. And I found myself going back in time through my consciousness. I was in a very deep hypnotic state. And I found myself as a baby lying in a crib, crying my lungs out in a dark room. And I was so afraid. And I could experience all of these experiences. I could experience this reality vividly as if I was reliving that reality. So in that moment in time, my consciousness had jumped into that past reality. So that's one thing that's very important to understand, that just because you're sitting here in a room listening to me speak does not mean that there's a different version of you in a past life that's coexisting. So grasp that at a very deep level. All, all versions of time, past, present, and future, are coexisting simultaneously. Okay? So what that means is just because you're sitting in this room right now, listening to me speak to you, means that your attention is focused in this very moment, listening to me speak. So because your attention is focused on this moment, listening to me speak, that is why everything that you perceive is in this moment. If I suddenly switched into a hypnotherapy session through this video and I told you to close your eyes and I guided you into a very deep relaxed state and I guided you into a hypnotic state where I asked you to tap into a past life version of yourself, suddenly the room around you would dissolve and that past life version of you would be so real to you, it would be more real than this room. So that is the first thing I want you to grasp, that reality is what you put your focus on. This room can dissolve in a few moments and you can find yourself in a different version of your reality, whether it's in your past or whether it's in your future. Now, Going one step further into my example of where I was that child who felt abandoned in that dark room, I realized that that was the imprint that was left on my soul, and I was carrying that imprint in my soul for many lifetimes, and I probably had so many different experiences because I'm carrying that wound of feeling abandoned. Um, I may have played out that abandoned, wounded child in many relationships. I may have ruined many relationships because of that, or I may have made very choices out of being wounded that I would not have otherwise made had I had a holistic life, or where I had been loved by my mother in that particular incarnation. So we all understand the concept of linear time, where one particular event affects all events going forward. However, that's linear time. In quantum physics, what is revealed to us, or what is believed to be true, and this has been scientifically proven in theory, and shamans actually jump timelines, so we experience this with our own consciousness. That's something that you cannot do just as a scientist uh, in theoretical scenarios. You can actually, when you are an expert in jumping timelines through the technology of our third eye, you realize that this is an ability that each and every one of us has, and it's as natural as walking. It's as natural as swimming. This is something that you can train yourself on, and this is something that you can experience yourself. And many of you, I'm sure, have already done that. You may have found yourself jumping into a different alternative version of reality and then jump back. So going back to the example, I then, in order to heal that particular lifetime, or that particular scenario of being abandoned, I then decided consciously that I'm going to change that past reality and visualize a different reality where I am now experiencing a loving mother. So I, I made that conscious decision in that healing session to experience being loved by my mother. And I decided that when I was crying, I'm opening my eyes, and then I visualized a different reality play out where my mother opened the lights and she came and held me. She cajoled me, and she took me into the living room where a beautiful fireplace was lit. It was Christmas time, and all my family was there, and they held me and they loved me. And I had a completely different version of reality that I had jumped into the past. Now, which version actually occurred, or did both occur? So quantum physics teaches us that all versions of reality exist. All versions of reality that you can possibly comprehend, infinite versions of your life exists at this particular time, including infinite versions of your past life exists at any given time. So quantum science or quantum theory teaches us that everything that can possibly happen has happened and is currently happening in parallel realities. And it is really up to us which reality we place our focus on. So when I healed myself in the past and I came out of that regressive past life regressive session and I came back into the present, I had healed my present. I felt so whole again, and I knew that something within me had fundamentally shifted, and my life since that healing session is significantly different. I'm not acting out of my wounds anymore. And I want to explain this to everyone, that this is something we can all tap into. And I'm going to give you another example of parallel realities and how you can tap into parallel realities. And this is a very practical example of how you can shift your reality from something you do not desire to something you would love to achieve. So, for example, let's say you're stuck in a job that you find yourself miserable in, and you have the belief system that I need this job for paying my bills. My family depends on me. This is what I studied all my life in school for, so I'm stuck here. Um, if I quit this job, I may not find another job, or so on and so forth. Like, you can build an infinite number of excuses to solidify the belief structure that you are stuck in this job. So the more you go into belief systems to solidify a particular reality, the more dense that reality is going to become for you. The more the walls are going to become dense. However, you are a quantum being. So let's say you raise your consciousness to a higher level and you suddenly realize, oh, wait, this is a quantum universe and all versions of reality exist. Now you're looking at this world from a bird's eye view, because you realize you're an infinite being and you're looking at your third dimensional reality as if you're flying above your third dimensional reality. And from the bird's eye view, you can see a version of reality where you're stuck in that job, or you can see a version of reality where you're a millionaire sipping in Mai Tai on a beautiful island, and you're having the time of your life. Now, how do you jump from that reality that seems dark and gloomy to another version of reality where everything is going your way? You do that by realizing that you hold the key to whichever reality you wish to create and attract towards yourself. So the law of manifestation works very closely with quantum theory. And the law of manifestation dictates that like attracts like. Whatever you vibrate, that's what you attract towards yourself. So it doesn't mean that, if you think of it linearly, it means you having to apply for another job, you having to win the lottery, or you having to somehow take steps A, B, and C to become a millionaire, working really hard. But it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be linear. The version of you, according to quantum physics, the version of you who is a millionaire enjoying the life of your dreams already exists in a parallel reality. That's what you have to grasp at a very deep level, that the version of you who is a millionaire, who is enjoying the life of his dreams, is already happening in a parallel reality. So what do you have to do to go from this train to that train? How do you jump trains? Because it seems impossible from where you're sitting right now. You do it gradually by melding both realities into one path. And you do that by changing your belief systems, by changing who you are, by changing what you believe to be true from within. So if from this day forward, from this moment forward, you decide that I am going to jump trains, I'm going to jump timelines, I'm going to jump into the reality where I am the millionaire. So you become the millionaire first from within. You vibrate, I'm a millionaire. You vibrate that I am already a millionaire, and the universe has no choice but to reflect back to me that I'm a millionaire. See, in 3D, we have it all backwards. We think I'm not a millionaire and I need to move mountains to become a millionaire. However, the universe laughs at that. The universe says, do you not know how powerful you are? Do you not know that you are a God being? That by your very choice of vibrating that I'm a millionaire is how the whole reality will bend and mountains will move to reflect that reality to you. That is the law of manifestation. That is the law of attraction in a nutshell. So if you really at your core let go of all of your belief systems that reflect that I'm stuck in this reality that I do not desire, and let's say you start behaving like a millionaire, not to say that you take out a bank loan and buy a Maserati tomorrow, not at all. You can behave like a millionaire by behaving abundant without having any physical change in your life. You can become abundant by feeding a pigeon. You can become abundant by taking a walk down the beautiful millionaire mansion street where you can visualize the house of your dreams standing right in front of you. You can visualize all the things that you want and surround yourself constantly with them, knowing that the more and more you surround yourself with the things that you desire, the more they're coming into your periphery and they're coming closer and closer to you. So by changing your own belief system, by saying, I am getting richer, I am attracting all the things I desire, I'm attracting a beautiful partner into my life, I'm attracting fame, wealth, fortune, success, all of these things. You literally have to brainwash yourself from the inside out. You can listen to manifestations, mantras, all kinds of visualizations. You can meditate on this daily. And the more you brainwash yourself into believing that you are vibrating success, that you are the law of manifestation in living example, then you become that. And when you become that, this has actually happened to me. This is actually this is not something I'm describing as theory. This has actually happened to me. I used to be doing the 9 to 5 where I was making a certain amount of money, paying my taxes, and I did not like what I was doing. And by changing my belief system, I attracted unlimited wealth into my life. I attracted unlimited abundance into my life. I attracted a loving partner who accepted me for who I was, for who I am into my life. And I changed my life. I literally wielded my reality by changing my belief systems. And if you haven't already reviewed this, look at Your Wish is Your Command. It's an audiobook that's about 13 hours long, and it is gold. It contains tips and nuggets that are priceless, and it is something that can change your life. So listening to mantras like that, listening to audiobooks that change your belief system, you can actually shift your reality, and the universe will reflect the version of reality that you believe in. And that is quantum physics in a nutshell. That is how you jump from one timeline to another. And you may say, yeah, but you didn't really explain anything of quantum physics. But see, the beauty of that is that if this is so magical, your beliefs are so magical, that if you change your belief system to vibrate at a high enough level in this moment, you can switch your reality like this. But see, we can't go from A to Z being the human beings that we are. We have to take baby steps towards creating every reality that we desire. That is why it takes time in the third dimension to go from one reality to another. And that's also a good thing. The reason why it takes time in the third dimension to go from one reality to another is because human beings have not mastered their intellect. We have not mastered our thought powers. So because we are so loose with our thinking, because we still have violence, because we still have not mastered anger and hatred, we are kind of like contained in a protective shell. And the universe keeps us in that protective shell until we are certain about the outcome we want. So let's say you're only thinking doom and gloom. Let's say you're only thinking negative thoughts. Your universe is not going to spin your life downwards right away. It's going to give you some time. It's going to say, is this really what you want? Is this really what you want? Is this really what you want? And your life is, you're going to get warning signals in your life, like your relationship may not be working out, or you may be getting yelled at by your boss and whatnot. And everything will be shown to you as a warning sign until it really gets bad and until things really break apart. So this is kind of like in the third dimension, we are kind of in a protective zone, in a quarantine zone, that there's a time lapse between our thinking and manifestation, because the third dimension is a place where we practice creation, where we practice the law of manifestation. In the fifth dimension, what you think instantly becomes true, because in the fifth dimension, you cannot even be in the fifth dimension consciousness unless you're a master. You have to have mastered all your thoughts and actions. So In the third dimension, just because you think you're a millionaire doesn't mean tomorrow you're going to get a millionaire check. But it does mean that because you're changing your belief system, you could get, you start attracting synchronicities into your life that make that reality come to you that much quicker. So it's directly proportional to your belief system. How deeply you believe something is how quickly it comes into your reality. So wanted to leave these interesting thoughts and ideas with you, and I hope you're having an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in.